to the channel. I'm back to break down this 6-game slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into it, I have released multiple MLB packages over there on Patreon. Links in the description. If you're interested, you can go ahead and check that out. You'll get access to things like my hot hitter StatCast data tool, my team hitting data tool, my bullpen data, my power rankings, my cheat sheet. So yeah, go ahead and check that out in the description if you're interested. I think it's going to provide you a lot of value. I think it's going to help you with your daily fantasy lineups day in and day out. With that being said, you can follow me over on Twitter at KJK DFS, and let's start breaking down this slate today. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. And the top guy on the slate today in strikeout rate is that Shane Bieber taking on these Detroit Tigers, which is a scary good situation today because the Detroit Tigers rank last in the league in strikeout rate. And Shane Bieber's an absolute stud. So he has a 30.1% strikeout rate, a 13.8% swinging strike rate. The ground ball and the fly ball stuff's great. The walk rate's good. The hard contact's the only thing that stands out as being bad, but we can kind of waive that because he gets to take on the Detroit Tigers today, and it's not like we have to worry about it anyways because he's just been completely dominant this year. 29.9% K rate against righties and then a 30.3% K rate against lefties. So, yeah, Shane Bieber been absolutely amazing, and when looking at the Vegas lines today, he comes in as a 286 favorite. So, Vegas likes him a ton to pick up the win. He's got the strikeout stuff. He's got the matchup. I think Shane Bieber really offers it all today. And he's at a pretty reasonable price tag at 10.9. I mean, he's priced up, but he's going to be priced up regardless of Shane Bieber. And with the matchup, I think that's pretty respectable. So, first guy on the slate to mention today is that Shane Bieber. Moving further along, the next guy is Seth Lugo on my sheet. We kind of have to talk about guys because it's only a 6-game slate, and Seth Lugo's good, but his matchup is one where they just don't strike out. I mean, if you're looking at Seth Lugo's numbers across the board, he's really good. He has 29% K rate. Walk rate's great. The hard hit rate's great. He's being converted into more of a starter rather than a bullpen arm. He's got a 30.3% K rate against righties and then a 27.7% K rate against lefties. He's just green across the board in the WOBA, the hard contact, the slugging against righties and lefties. So Seth Lugo is, he's a good pitcher. I don't want to say he's not. It's just a question if we are willing to pay his price tag for his pitch count. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But he comes in at 7.1K on DraftKings. And then the other thing is his matchup. The Philadelphia Phillies just don't strike out. So not ideal. Even though he's got a high strikeout rate, these guys are most likely going to be fighting off pitches. And if he has a good outing, not sure how many strikeouts are going to be attached to that. So a little bit of a disclaimer there, but you are paying down at 7.1 compared to, the guy that has it all and Shane Bieber at 10.9 that we discussed. So Seth Lugo definitely an option in the mid-range today. Next guy is Aaron Nola taking on these New York Mets. Aaron Nola comes in at a 10.1 price tag compared to Shane Bieber's 10.9 price tag. If I'm paying for one of these guys, it's 10,000% Shane Bieber. It's not even close, but Aaron Nola is second. Comes in with a 27.9% K rate, an 11.9% swing strike rate. The ground ball and the fly ball stuff's great. The hard contact rate is good as well. And then he's got a 28.2% K rate against righties, very good against right-handed hitting, and then a 27.5% K rate against lefties, and very good against lefties as well. So we're just dealing with a really complete pitcher in Aaron Nola. Comes in as a 136 favorite, so not quite a heavy favorite, but he is expected to get the win in this one. And, I think his numbers prove as to why we could have interest in him. He's just really good all the way across the board. He doesn't have an issue against righties or lefties, which is great because these Mets do have a little bit of a blend of both. So Aaron Nola, second pay-up option on the high tier today. Moving further along, the next guy that we have to talk about is in a very good matchup in Dakota Hudson taking on these Pittsburgh Pirates because I had mentioned the Detroit Tigers strike out a ton, but so do these Pirates. And Dakota Hudson is a guy that, we're mentioning him strictly because of his matchup. He does have the worst, second to worst SIERA on the slate. He has an 18.3% K rate, a 9.7 swinging strike rate. The ground ball and the fly ball stuff is very good. So he doesn't strike anyone out, but the ground ball and the fly ball and the control is very good. The WOBA, the slugging, all of that stuff. And with the matchup today with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he's going to get that strikeout boost. So that's the reason I'm promoting him today. Comes in as a 162 favorite. And I do think that with the matchup, he can get more strikeouts than he normally would. So I definitely like Dakota Hudson at his 8.2K price tag. And then it's kind of strange how many pitching options we have for such a small slate, to be honest with you, because there are a couple more options. I'm going to try to get through these and get to bats, but it's going to be interesting based on the bats that we want, who we can play, because we do have three guys here, right, back to back to back. The first guy is Masahiro Tanaka for these New York Yankees taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. He comes in with a 22.2% K rate. The swing strike rate is great. The ground ball and the fly ball stuff's great. He has a 23.8% K rate against righties, and then a 20.5% K rate against lefties. And while these Toronto Blue Jays are a pretty good lineup, they do have their fair share of strikeouts. So Tanaka coming in as a 224 favorite. And at the 7.8K price tag, I do think we can have some interest in him. And then, as I mentioned, two more guys real quick before we get to bats. The first guy is Casey Mize, and I got to put a little bit of a disclaimer next to Casey Mize because he is supposed to be the real deal. He's top prospect in baseball, but early on, while he has looked good as far as his stuff and talent, the results aren't really the greatest. Just he's raw young talent. He needs to get used to being in the bigs, but he has a 26.7% K rate against righties, and then it drops down to a 19.2% K rate against lefties, and he has been getting hit around the yard against left-handed bats. So he's a guy that we can definitely target on the low end just because, of his expected talent, but he does have to take on these Cleveland Indians, which is a very good lineup, and then I had mentioned his issue against left-handed hitting. And he has to take on guys like Lindor, Ramirez, Santana. So he's an high upside play, but just know the risk that comes with him. And the very last guy I have to mention is that in Framber Valdez. And I have to mention Framber Valdez because he's taking on these Texas Rangers who really struggle against left-handed pitching. He has a 22.1% K rate. The ground ball and the fly ball stuff's great. 19.7% K rate against righties, and then a 28.3% K rate against lefties. He's very, very good against left-handed hitting. And when looking at this Texas Rangers lineup, they are going to go ahead and throw out all their righties that they have, try to stack it up and combat the split issues. However, with that being said, their right-handed heavy lineup isn't really the most threatening, and there are strikeouts in it. So Framber Valdez is a guy to have interest in. You're paying up for him at 9.2. I'd probably rather go down to like a Tanaka or a Hudson, personally, but then again, we have to see when we're building our lineups where we're left for salary as far as once we get our bats in. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down some bats we're going to want to target. As always, I like to sort my sheet by SIERA, skill, interactive, ERA, and see the worst SIERAs on the slate. So we can figure out these pitchers that we're going to want to target. And the worst guy on the slate is that Steven Brault for these Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. He has a 19.8% K rate. The swing strike rate's bad. He has 18.7% K rate against righties, and then a 23% K rate against lefties, and he's a lot better against lefties. So he struggles against right-handed hitting, but we don't really want to target him with left-handed bats. And with that being said, these St. Louis Cardinals definitely have some guys that crush left-handed pitching. Tommy Edman, Paul DeJong, Paul Goldschmidt is a big one today. Tyler O'Neill has a ton of power. Rango Ravello, Yadier Molina, and then Harrison Bader. I don't really want to play Matt Carpenter or Brad Miller today. I don't really have interest in those lefties. But I have a ton of interest in guys like Paul DeJong, Paul Goldschmidt, and Tyler O'Neill in the center of this order. Just go ahead and get those guys in your lineup and feel confident today, taking on Steven Brault. Second on the list, worse, is that Dakota Hudson, but I had already discussed, I think, with the matchup and his ability to keep the ball on the ground and stay out of trouble as far as that's concerned. I do like him as a pitcher today, and I don't want to target him. Chase Anderson taking on these New York Yankees. The Yankees are starting to heat up big time here these last couple games, and Chase Anderson, I think, can allow them to keep it rolling because he's not good. He has a 20.5% K rate, a 10.2 swinging strike rate. The ground ball and the fly ball stuff is very, very bad, which stands out taking on this Yankees lineup. It just makes me want to target him even more. He has a 497 slugging against righties, not good. The Yankees have right-handed hitters that hit home runs, and then against lefties, he actually is pretty effective. So we really want to target the big power bats, the right-handed power bats for these Yankees, and they got a ton of them. So I think we can pick it right back up where we did last night. DJ LeMahieu, Luke Voight, Giancarlo Stanton, Gio Urshela, Clint Frazier. Yeah, just absolutely stacked. Aaron Judge was back last night. Not sure if he's going to be in the lineup again, but if he's in the lineup, a guy you'll want to have a ton of interest in. He might be a little rusty after being out for a long time, but when we're looking at Chase Anderson's numbers, I just don't care because he's just terrible against right-handed hitting, and I'm going to have a ton of interest in these guys. I mean, Luke Voight is just absolutely on fire right now. He looks ridiculously dialed in at the plate, and when he's taking on a guy with these type of splits, he's the top first base play on the slate, hands down, I'd say. Him and Paul Goldschmidt are up there for my top first baseman. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums up where I feel as far as the Yankees today. They're just in a tremendous spot. Go ahead and stack them up. And then these Dodgers are right behind them in another great spot because they get to take on Kyle Freeland, who has a bad K rate, a bad swing strike rate. And then when you're looking at his splits, it's not that he's terrible, but he does have a 447 slugging given up to right-handed hitting. That's not going to get the job done. And then against the lefties, he's very, very good. So we do prefer to target the right-handed hitters. So I want to make that clear. The Dodgers do have some very good lefties and guys like Max Muncy, but probably don't want to play him today. Probably want to target more of the right-handed hitters. So Mookie Betts, Justin Turner, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, Enrique Hernandez. Those are the guys I'm looking to get in my lineup, and I'm going to have a lot of confidence playing them. And then, the last thing to mention is that they are in Coors Field, the best hitting environment in baseball. So, I say not to play the lefties, but then again, if they can get Kyle Freeland out of this game early and they go to the bullpen, these lefties are going to crush. So, take that with what you will, and you'll have to make those choices of whether you want to play these lefties. They are priced up, so we prefer the righties against the starter, but if they can get the starter out of the game early, these lefties are going to crush against the bullpen. So, got to have a ton of interest in these Dodgers. Next on the list is that the Houston Astros taking on Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles stinks. He's been terrible all year. He's got a 22% K rate, a 9.6 swinging strike rate. His ground ball, his fly ball, his hard hit rate's terrible. Against righties, he gives a 448 slugging. Against lefties, he gives a 446 slugging. And Jordan Lyles just sucks. He's been terrible all year. So feel confident targeting him with these Houston Astros bats. George Springer, Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley is way too cheap. Jose Altuve and Michael Brantley are way too cheap. I mean, I know Altuve is struggling, but I don't really care in this matchup at only 3.6. That's too cheap. Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker's a big-time option. Yulieski Gurriel, really everyone in this lineup. Jordan Lyles is terrible. The bullpen's not good. Definitely have to have interest in the Houston Astros. There are some very good spots on this slate today. The Astros, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cardinals righties against Steven Brault. And yeah, I mean, as far as on the sneaky end of things, I think I've pretty much covered all my favorite spots. If you want to get sneaky, I don't even know. I mean, there's so many good spots. I don't know if we really need to get sneaky, but if I'm telling you to go ahead and stack against a good pitcher, it's probably going to be... Let's look at the slate real quick. We got Aaron Nola and these Mets, Chase Anderson, the Pirates and Hudson, and then Casey Mize. I mean, it's not even sneaky, but the next spot is obviously Coors Field, taking on, you got Julio Urias and these right-handed bats that crush lefties. So Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Kevin Pillar, Matt Kemp, Josh Fuentes, Elias Diaz. That would be one option. And then the next option, I really can't promote anything else beside it. I don't really want to go anywhere else. I would go with the Cleveland Indians taking on Casey Mize. I'm not sure how scared people are going to be to stack against Casey Mize, just being that he's supposed to, he's top prospect in baseball. But when you're looking at his splits, he does struggle against lefties early on here. So, my next spot would be stacking up these Cleveland lefties and these elite bats and, Francisco Lindor, Cesar Hernandez, Jose Ramirez, Carlos Santana, Tyler Naquin, and Josh Naylor. And then you could throw in Framil Reyes in the middle of the order because he has a ton of power. So that's really all I got for bats. Those are the only places I want to go. And I'd say we're ready to go ahead and sum this slate up for you guys. What I've gone over so far, what I've gone over in total. We have Seth Lugo in the mid range. Target him against the Phillies. Just know they don't strike out a lot. I don't really know what his upside is going to be. That's more of a cash game play. Aaron Nola is the second best pay up option behind Shane Bieber. I think Masahiro Tanaka is a good play today. I really love these Yankees righties. They're in a scary good spot taking on Chase Anderson, so get the guys with power in and get DJ LeMahieu in because he's a stud. Had a bunch of him last night. That made me happy. Hopefully you guys did too. These righties for the St. Louis Cardinals taking on Steven Brault, Tommy Edman, Paul DeJong, Paul Goldschmidt, and Tyler O'Neill in that middle of the order is really the hot spot. And then you could throw in Ravello, Yadier Molina, and Harrison Bader. Shane Bieber taking on the Detroit Tigers is the most obvious play on the slate. He's going to be very highly owned, but for good reason. Go ahead and get him in a bunch of your lineups. You can stack up these lefties on this Cleveland Indians team, and you can play Casey Mize as a long shot, high upside play on the low range. Framber Valdez taking on taking on these Texas Rangers is a good play, and I really like these Houston Astros bats taking on Jordan Lyles because he stinks. And then the Los Angeles Dodgers righties taking on Kyle Freeland, and you could throw in the righties for the Colorado Rockies as well against the lefty on the bump for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and give you guys my home run call of the day. I had mentioned these Yankees and taking on Chase Anderson, and you're looking at the ground ball and the fly ball stuff. It's red. The swing strike rate is red. The K rate is red. The Sierra is red. The slugging against righties is very, very red. He's just red across the board against righties. He's scary bad against righties, and that is just not going to go well for him taking on these New York Yankees. And my home run call of the day is going to be a guy who seems to be hitting a home run every single night. Hopefully, that streak doesn't come to an end here because the spot's just way too good. I think I gave you guys the reasoning, and I have to go ahead and pick Luke Voight to hit a home run today. He looks absolutely dialed in at the plate, just ridiculously hot. And when you're looking at the numbers for Chase Anderson and the splits, I think I've given you guys some good reason as to why you would want to have interest in him today. So go ahead and get Luke Voight in your lineups. I think he's going deep. He's my home run call of the day. And that is all for me. If you're enjoying the content, please like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos that I release. It'll help me grow my channel, it'll help support me, and I greatly appreciate you guys tuning into the videos. That's all for me today. I wish you all the best of luck tonight, and have a good one.